Even though it was night, even though it was not day, even though there was no light, they gathered. The gods convened there in Teotihuacan. This ancient Mexican poem refers to a city first settled in around the 2nd century BCE. Teotihuacan was believed to be the place where the god Nanahuatzin sacrificed himself to become the sun. During the 3rd century CE, the city was becoming more established. It was divided by 2 great streets, each 4 miles long. Over the next 2 centuries, its population grew to around 125,000, making Teotihuacan the 6th largest city in the world at that time. At the northern end of the Street of the Dead stood the Pyramid of the Moon. Just to the east was the Pyramid of the Sun, and located further south were the Ciudadela and the Temple of the Plumed Serpent. Smaller temples and large palaces lined the rest of the street. The largest structure at Teotihuacan was the Pyramid of the Sun. It stood 200 feet tall and measured 700 feet on each side. At the summit, reached by a stone stairway, a temple to the sun god once stood. In 1971, a passageway was discovered under the pyramid. This led to a cave with a number of chambers, which seemed to have been used as shrines at which ancestors or deceased kings were worshipped. Caves were sacred spaces in ancient Mexico. They were thought to link this world with the afterlife. The shape of the Pyramid of the Moon echoed that of an extinct volcano behind it. This mountain was once known as Tenan, meaning our mother of stone. The pyramid as it stands today was the result of many decades of labor and construction. 6 earlier structures have been found underneath it. After each structure was finished, humans and animals were sacrificed and buried with offerings. South, along the Street of the Dead, is the Ciudadela, and inside it, the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. The Ciudadela is a large walled compound, most likely the ruined remains of a royal palace. The Temple of the Feathered Serpent features the talud tablero style seen in many buildings at Teotihuacan. The sloping talud supports the rectangular tablero, which is decorated with painted stucco or sculpture. The temple was a 7-tiered step pyramid adorned with sculpted heads of the war serpent and the storm god, and a feathered serpent. This temple is a monument to the warlike nature of Teotihuacan society. Excavations have found hundreds of sacrificed young male warriors and females, with many of the victims wearing necklaces made from human jaws. Rulers of Teotihuacan lived in large palaces along the Street of the Dead, their walls decorated with painted stucco. Ordinary citizens lived in residential compounds containing many dwellings, as well as shrines for religious observances. Teotihuacan was a cosmopolitan city. Artisans and traders from all over ancient Mexico worked and lived there. They produced fine objects in a variety of materials, including ceramics and stone. Around 500 CE, the power and magnificence of Teotihuacan came to a violent end. Palaces and temples were burned to the ground. Nobody knows who did this or why, and although people continued to live at Teotihuacan, the production of art and of new buildings ceased. Over 1,000 years after its destruction, the memory of the city of the gods lived on. In the 15th century, the ruler of the powerful Aztecs made regular pilgrimages to Teotihuacan. An Aztec poet tells us that this was the place where the lords of the city entered the hereafter. And they called it Teotihuacan, because it was the place where the lords were buried. Thus the old ones said, that who has died has become a god. They said, he has been made a god there, meaning he has died.